So a little more than 90 minutes into the 7-hour session, day 2 of practice for the Indianapolis 500. A little more than a week and a half away as we see Fernando Alonso and the number 66 Papaya Orange McLaren back on track. Kevin Lee, Anders Krohn, Robin Miller, Dylan Welch on pit road, and Jake Query's going to step in just a moment to join us as well.
Anders, the track temperature is 100 degrees.
Yeah,
and it's 69 degrees. It can't get much better, can it?
No, it's absolutely perfect. It really is. And of course, a little bit of sun peeking through, so that helps generate that track temp, and just pounding in the laps will keep increasing that temperature as well. So really, really ideal conditions here. Oh, and a big hit there for Fernando Alonso. Oh, dearie me.
Yellow turn 3. You okay, Fernando?
Oh boy, Fernando Alonso into the wall, picked up that dirty air from the car ahead. He's moving around inside the cockpit, which is obviously a great sign.
Fernando, you okay?
But this is exactly the same thing that we saw from Graham Rahal earlier, with the front just kind of lifting up off the ground into the wall, except too little too late for Fernando Alonso as he slams into the wall.
Crawling out. He's good.
Whew.
Well, you always worry when he gets to the grass.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the last thing you want to see.
Exactly, and he was quite lucky there with the angle of attack on the inside wall there when he hit that, and that he didn't then slide to the outside of the track and hit too hard. So another replay of what happened here for Fernando Alonso as he's behind Graham Rahal, who's been having those issues. So coming through turn 3, just front lifts up off the ground into the wall. Oh, and straight into the inside wall there.
And you know what? The actual impact, the first impact wasn't bad.
No,
just the right rear.
But it's enough when you have that sort of impact, as we're getting another perspective here. It's enough, and you see right away, so it breaks both the right front and the right rear wheels straight off the car. So at that point, you have no control over the car whatsoever, and all you can do is take your hands off the wheel.
Jake Query in here as well with Anders Krohn, Robin Miller, as we watch this incident with Fernando Alonso happening in turn number 3. This is the north end of the speedway. And Anders, when you watch it, take me through here in the fact that, he gets a little bit high and it just looked like not able to make the completion, obviously, of that turn. The contact not too severe on the outside, but then, of course, you're a passenger, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Nothing that he could do from the point of initial contact there. And I think the other thing that I'm looking at is he was directly in the wheel tracks of Graham Rahal. Graham, as we've seen, has had a tendency to run a bit high off the corners, and I think he was probably expecting that Rahal would be a little bit lower so that Alonso would get slightly more clean air on his wings. But as you can see, Graham Rahal already tracking pretty high here, so Fernando Alonso directly in his wheel tracks picking up that turbulent air from Graham Rahal. So basically at no point through that corner did he ever have clean air on his front wings. And obviously here you can see right rear, right front completely broken.
Now look at that front right, Anders. When you look there and you see Fernando Alonso with everything that goes in once that impact took place, as well as you see there on the right rear, that's where the tires are tethered together to the car. You saw one of them wanting to come loose. This is a critical piece of what for years has been an effort to make sure that those tires stay attached to the chassis of that machine, because the last thing you want, obviously, is anything of that substance, that sort of a weight coming free to endanger other drivers, or as we saw unfortunately with Roberto Guerrero here at a test in the late 80s, it could come back and also endanger the driver himself. So that's one piece of this that if you were looking at good news or a positive to come out of an incident with this involving Fernando Alonso, it's exactly that, seeing all 4 of those Firestone Firehawks still attached.
Yeah, very limited amount of debris that came off the car, and to your point, Jake, that's something IndyCar has been working so hard on to make sure that if there's other cars on track that they won't be impacted by that, as well as the crowds obviously out in the grandstand. So tremendous job there, and to think about that, doing 220 miles an hour, slamming into the wall like that 3 separate times and still being okay, yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Hey motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.